right, awesome. So we're back. This will be shoot number 2 with Chris behind the lens for us. And today we're going to be back in the gym with Riley, who's also a coach for us at Team Every Calorie Counts. But we're going to be taking him through a back, or honestly, very similar to what Marina did. You'll see the difference between the different divisions, the different genders, what we were trying to bring up with Marina versus what we're trying to bring up with Riley. But it just so happens that his weakest point right now, after his initial bodybuilding season, is still his posterior. So we're going to work on that in totality today. But go ahead, Riley. Why don't you intro yourself real quick?
What's going on? My name is Riley. I compete in men's bodybuilding. So I guess what we're going to do. Tell me what you want me to say.
Riley's just as good as Marina on the camera, so he'll probably be just as talkative and active. You see there?
What do you want me to say?
So Riley's been with us for a relatively short period of time. What, maybe 6 months or so, as far as a coach?
I've been coaching for 6 months. I've been with you for a year and a half.
Yeah. So he's somebody that we got pretty close with his first prep. I think he was somebody where we started training together as his prep, right before his prep started, right?
Yeah.
And going into his prep, and then it was just one of those things where obviously when I have a client that's in prep, we have that constant communication. Riley and I got pretty close, and then it turned into something where it was like, why not put somebody that's a good person that I like being around on the team, that has that passion for it, that has that drive for it, and not for nothing, he's been probably the fastest coach that we've had to kind of garner his own business and start to develop his own business. And as I always say, like, the proof is in the pudding, right? Like, results speak for themselves. So that's where he's getting all that clientele from, is that the results are there. He knows what he's doing, and obviously I hope he's learned a thing or two from working with me over that short period of time. But nonetheless, the bottom line here is I would like to see Riley. Riley took an overall for his first show last year. We knew he had the potential. He's got the frame for it. He's got the genetics to be able to grow. It's just a matter of refining some things for him. And honestly, the one thing that's good about you is that you've always had the mindset of, like, bigger. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm not talking about him as an individual. I'm talking about him in terms of his goals, right? Like, so many times we have people that just want to get on stage. Just want to get on stage. He did one show his first year, took the overall, saw the potential that was there, decided to take a full year's worth of an off season, not from show season to show, but a full, will be over 12 months of an off season before he steps on stage again, right? And the whole idea was like, hey, let's build this into a physique that's not just going to win on a national level. It's going to be able to be productive on a professional stage. So we're in the process of that. Again, Riley's still young, still very young as far as a competitor is concerned, but for the next few months, you'll see us finishing up his off season here into a growth phase that we've just kind of entered into again, a secondary growth phase here that we just kind of entered into again. So again, our goal is to bring up the posterior more than anything else, but it's to grow overall. So again, we're happy to take you guys on the ride for all the bodybuilders this off season. We're just getting warmed up now as Riley's just kind of establishing that movement pattern like we talked about before at the warm-ups. But for this, all we're trying to do is, again, for him, it's a little bit more back thickness. It's not necessarily width as far as his lats are concerned. Those were there. Those stood out pretty well. It's that back thickness. We need those spinal erectors. Go ahead, rest. And actually, if you're not too shy about it, if you want to pull up, we'll show him the scars. How many years removed are we from the surgery?
2.
So he's only 2 years removed from major back surgery. You can see the fucking scar. What exactly was it?
I had bone spurs in my nerve of my spine because the disc broke.
All right.
And so, like 17 different pieces.
Yeah, so the disc basically got shattered, had to be removed, which is never fun. Even though arthroscopic surgery is a little bit less intensive, when you're talking about anything around the spine, it gets scary. So you can put your shirt down, dude. What are you trying to show us? But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do now is get a little bit more back thickness, so that the session will be around that. And we also want to bring up those hamstrings. He's had really dominant quads, right? But his hamstrings and glutes lack a little bit. You would imagine the glutes lack, after a back surgery, the back lacking. Those two things are going to be connected to a certain extent. Hamstrings are good. They've always been good. It's just a matter of, there's plenty of detail in there. There's clearly enough muscularity there, but it's just a matter of them being more balanced against the quads now. So again, the day's workout is going to revolve around that. Right now, we're trying to get something that's going to load in that shortened position, which is what we're doing here. As far as this piece of equipment is concerned, like we talked about last time with the hamstring curls on Marina, we're going to load that lengthened position first, right? This already loads very accurately or very well, right, in that shortened range. It's hard in the shortened range, right? So we're not going to overload the shortened range. So we wouldn't want to load on that bottom rung. We'd want to go either mid rung or top rung. We'll start at the top, start to move into that mid rung a little bit, but that's primarily what we're going to be loading to overload that lengthened position. on these for him, it's really more a matter of really is going to come down to making sure that we're taking sets as far as we can take them. You know what I mean? Everybody on their own likes to train. Everybody on their own at his level knows how to train, right? It's a matter of taking that training to the next next level. So 7.
This is 8, 9.
So you'll see from here, we're working our way to a hard set. So we're gonna do sets at 12, 10, 8 reps, and we'll get a little bit closer on that 8th rep set.
I'd probably throw another.
2, 3, 4, get in that lengthened position. 5, don't be afraid of it. There you go. 6, explode out. 7, come on. 8, we got 2 more. 9, 1 more, come on. Boom, perfect. Ready?
Yeah.
Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, come on, 8, give me 1 more. Come on, partial reps now. 1 more, just like that. 1 more, just like that. Done. All right. Awesome. All right, so now we're gonna get into the seated cable rows with a medium grip. Now this one, we obviously just did a row as far as the Prime Extreme row. That one's gonna be a little bit more upper back. And listen, when you're training back, I know there's a lot to be made about back training nowadays. Everything's gotta be very specific and particular. At the end of the day, that might hit a little bit more of that upper back, but really more than anything else is it gives us a little bit of support, right? As far as the chest pad is concerned. So we're not loading that spine as heavily, right? Even though that machine does, again, its profile is perfect in terms of the way that we were able to load it, load in the length and range, all that good stuff. The bottom line is this is going to have a little bit more of an impact in terms of loading that spine. So one thing to take into consideration when you're programming for somebody or programming for yourself is the amount of spinal load that you're going to accumulate throughout the course of the week, right? Because that's going to accumulate more overall systemic fatigue, right? This is one that I think is kind of like underrated as far as that's concerned. Like most people wouldn't consider this spinal loading relative to like a deadlift, right? A squat, things of that nature. But this is in fact going to load the spine pretty predominantly. But again, for us right now, that's fine given the way that we're programming. So we're going to go in with it, and it is going to help us hit a little bit more of that thoracic division of the lat. And while we'll still hit a ton of upper back, we're starting to work our way down the back a little bit now. And again, getting a lot more of those spinal erectors in, which is really our goal. This is a working set, so we're trying to take it to failure. So Riley's not going to stop until he can't get any more.
Let's see.
Oh, keep going. Keep going. Come on, keep going. Don't try to fly all the way back. Get those elbows back. 1 or 2. Oh, you. So what I'd like to see from anybody in that situation is making sure that we're taking it to the fullest extent possible. Where even if we're getting a couple of those reps just out of the lengthened position, right, we're still doing good work there. All right, so I would say never give up too soon. The one thing though that you want to keep in mind is what he was starting to do was throwing a lot of momentum into it and inertia as far as his torso moving. Keep that thing locked in place. And like I said, even if the range has to shorten a little bit, there's still a lot of value in that shortened position of the range, right? Or I should say with a shorter range, there's a lot of, because this is the lengthened position, but still there's a lot of value there, right? But once you start to fucking jerk around and move everything around, it's at that point you might as well just drop it.
He also likes to kill me. That's another.
Yeah. Now we're going in for the back off set, which the goal here is just reduce the weight a little bit so we can get a little bit more concentrated. Make sure you get a good stretch, squeeze, a little bit more control on the way out. There you go. What number is that?
6.
7. Come on now. Come on. 10. Come on. 11. Come on. 12. Come on. 13. Couple more. 14. Again. 15. Again. Come on. Get those elbows back. Again. There we go. I was basically doing all the work. more reps in on this one, just because we're just getting into hamstrings now. So obviously we did 2 back exercises. He trains back multiple times a week right now. So we're trying not to overly fatigue him as far as the back is concerned. We're just stimulating, and when we're spreading that across the week, right? And obviously we did more than stimulate there. We took a couple sets to failure, but again, we didn't overdo back. Now we're gonna get into the hamstring, start to lower up the lower body. You're done there, one more.
No, I'd say warm up.
Oh yeah, warm up, I thought you were counting 1. There you go. Pause at the top for a split second, now go.
Done at 5.
Split second, nope, I want you to get a little bit more blood in there now.
Couple more, because I didn't feel the first couple.
I want you to keep going.
Okay.
Don't stop until I tell you to.
Okay.
Squeeze. Squeeze now, hold the squeeze, there you go. Extend, hold the extension for a second, hold. Now go again, squeeze, hold the squeeze, extend. There you go, just give me 3 more like that. 3. Hold it. Come on, 2, extend, hold, go. Squeeze, done.
I love when he introduces every set. It's so cute.
Doing my job. You generate a ton of momentum. That's why you're flying up with the hips when you're doing it. Stay locked in. There you go. Boom, like that. Is that 4? Come on.
5. This is 6.
6. Squeeze. 7. There you go. 8. Don't throw it around. There you go. Make it work. 9. You got plenty more. I mean, we're not stopping.
God.
Come on. Yeah, exactly. Come on. Let's go. Do not throw it around like that. Keep it. Stay conscious with it. Come on. There you go. There you go. Move it, move it, move it, move it, move it. You got like 4 more in there. Come on, let's go.
This fucking guy's kidding me.
Just like that. Come on. Just like that, just like that, just like that. 3 more now. Come on. Let's go. Come on, come on. In. Again. 2 more. Come on. All the way in, all the way in, all the way in, all the way in. Come on, you could have held that. Come on, one more. All the way in, Riley. Come on, all the way in, all the way in, all the way in, all the way in, all the way in. Slowly let it out. Now partials. Come on, down. 5, 4. Come on, 3. Come on, 2. Come on, 3 more. 3. Come on, 2.
Less work, less help,
Last
less
one. Yeah. We only got 1 more set.
Oh my God. Never mind, he's not my cousin no more.
All right, back off set. I want you to focus. Good squeeze to the bottom, all the way up, and do not explode down the way that you were doing. There's a difference between exploding and rocking. You're rocking out of that lengthened position. Good squeeze. Boom. There you go. Better squeeze the bottom. Hold it for a second. You want to explode, you got to control the weight all the way through. 3. Some people will train slow in order to, whatever, make it seem like they have better control of the weight. It's not about training slow, right? If anything, if you're training slow, you're training with a lower load to be able to accomplish that. It's about training with control over the weight. You should be able to control it at any point in the range. Whether it's a machine like this where it gets hard in that shortened position, you should still be able to squeeze it. Squeeze, boom, see, better squeeze the bottom. I'm with you. Come on, squeeze hard, boom, slowly let it back up. There you go. Boom. Squeeze hard, slowly let it back up. It's 13, come on, keep it going. You got more, come on. Boom, just like that. I want more, just like that. Come on, you got it. Boom, just like that, again. Come on. Just like that. A few more. Come on, you're taking it to 20. Let's go. Come on. Bitch your moan all you want. Come on, let's go. Again. All right, partials for me now. 10. Come on. 10. Come on. 9. Come on. 8. Come on. Let's go. 5 more. 5. Come on. 4. 3. 2. 1. Done. And now we deadlift. Surge.
Oh, for YouTube? Oh, this is a video thing? Oh, okay.
No, coaching in general.
Deadlift for me?
What's up?
You want to deadlift for me?
Turn me on, YC.
I hate these. Stupid.
That's it.
I hated them.
So Riley was just bitching and moaning about doing his deadlifts, which is typical Riley, you know, hard stuff. You know, he's prima donna fucking Instagram bodybuilders. They don't want to do the hard stuff.
I am absolutely not an Instagram bodybuilder.
So, you know, at the end of the day, this is what's going to tie it all together for us. So obviously we started with back, right, emphasizing those movements that are going to allow for a little bit more thickness in those spinal erectors. Then we hit the hamstrings, right? Now we're hitting the what's ultimately going to tie those areas together as best we can, starting to integrate the glutes a little bit too. But obviously when it comes to, like, anybody could easily make the argument that deadlift isn't necessarily great from a hypertrophy perspective, right? Or like from a muscle growth perspective. Like, it could be great for a lot of different adaptations. Muscle growth, there's a lot of fatigue that comes with this, right? So it might not be the best in certain cases, I guess, in certain scenarios, but for me, it's like, at the end of the day, to me, you're not going to find something that loads, that you're going to be able to load as much as a deadlift would, right? Specifically for those spinal erectors in terms of the back and that back thickness, the glutes, the hamstrings. Like, for me, it's like you're not going to get a better exercise in terms of bang for your buck in terms of that posterior chain and being able to grow that and get that a little bit thicker. So, you know, obviously there could be a lot said nowadays with training and fucking like this little nuance and that little nuance. At the end of the day, if you just fucking deadlift heavy, if you're, you know, doing certain things, you know, that a lot of people associate with, whether it's squats, bench press, which again, I could start to pick those apart little by little depending on the person's frame and the person's physique. But when it comes to a deadlift, if we're trying to get that back thick, if we're trying to get those legs, the posterior leg a little bit thicker, those glutes a little bit more in, you know, I can't think of many exercises that are going to be better than a deadlift. You might not like it, they might not be the most enjoyable, they might suck on certain days, but at the end of the day, there's not going to be anything that's going to be as potent. Another plate. A little bit more control through the eccentric.
I'm a real bodybuilder.
I don't know what Mr. fucking 5'7" 3/4 just said, but all I can tell you is we'll see how well he's been deadlifting since last time we deadlifted was fucking, what, I don't know, a year ago? And he was deadlifting 315. So let's see if he's got better, you know? Is this still a warm-up or is this a working set? No, first one's going to be a warm-up, and again, you take it for as many reps as you want, anywhere between 1 and 3. Feel it out, see how it is, and then we'll decide what's going to be the working set. We got to be careful with him because of the back situation, you know what I mean? When you're, what, less than 2 years removed, right, from a serious spinal surgery that's got a fucking giant scar up and down your back to prove it, you know what I mean? Like, we want to be careful, obviously. But he's still a bitch. Yeah, 1 to 3, just feel it out. You don't have to exaggerate it, just have control. Boom. See, now you got to turn that around without as much of a bounce. Bing, bang, boom, you get that out of the way. I got that from Matt Porter, who literally would, when his calories got all the way up at one point, this is all, he had a whole like YouTube series or whatever on this, but when his calories got really high up there, what he was doing was he would wake up super early in the morning, blend up, I think it was a half a shake, right? Or maybe it was a whole shake, I don't know, but he'd blend up part of his serious mass, chug it down or whatever it was, like 5 a.m., go back to sleep, yeah, wake up later, and I think that was actually his second meal too that he would get down again, but it was just easy to get that in, you know what I mean? Turn.
I will say, just working full time, and I tell this to all my clients too, and like, it's great knowledge to know, like, I am not a full-time coach. Like, I am a full-time car salesman. So 50 hours a week, I am at a full-time desk job where I don't always have access to. I pack all my meals, 5-6 meals, in a one big cooler. I bring it to work. I've been doing this for years. I've been doing this, especially since I started working with Tim. And yes, people do say stuff about it. Yes, people be like, why do you have a full cooler like you're camping? Yes, I hear it from everybody who doesn't work out, like, how could I do this? How could I do that? And my biggest advice, I don't know, yours too, is who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I could give 2 fucks what anybody. Half the time, those people are overweight, eating McDonald's, questioning why I'm eating chicken, rice, and broccoli.
It's different though too with him right now because he is in the beginning stages of a growth phase. His food's not even that high right now, right? I mean, it's probably not easy to eat, but it's not high right now.
You still had me at 900 carbs with 300 protein, 100 fat.
What, right now?
No, last push.
Oh, yeah.
I was still
last
car
push.
salesman.
I'm saying right now he's right back into, but I'm saying right now is what I'm talking about. Like, it's one of those things where like the food is still manageable.
I have a lot of different ingredients that I'm packing personally.
All I'm saying is that it's a lot, like physically, it's like legitimately a lot to bring. It's a lot to eat. That's a lot to have in a public setting. You know what I mean? Where it's like that could be off-putting, but a lot of people think about it. They're just dieting and they're bitching about bringing their food to work.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Dieting is so easy to be able to do that. It's like 10 times harder to eat in the off season than it is in contest prep. In contest prep, you're gonna have minimal shit. You might be hungry, but it's pretty easy to get away with. When you're really trying to grow, the amount of food that you have to eat, if it's not, a pain in the ass to bring it to work, if it's not kind of like fucking weird to be sitting at your desk and eating that much food comparatively to everybody else and people aren't saying shit to you, you're probably not growing right.
Well, that's another thing too, and I just want to stress, like, I've talked to a lot of different people, especially in a corporate setting where they don't work out, saying like, oh, it must be easy for these bodybuilders, they stay home. That's not the case. I don't stay home. I work 50 hours at a desk job. I bring, even on my low carb days where I have minimal food, I still have to pack. I work bell to bell, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So I still have to pack 4 of those 5 meals, 5 of those 6 meals, depending on what I'm doing. And you gotta tune out the noise. It's like, that's the bottom line.
Yeah, to me, it was always easier. It's been a long time since I've had to work in any type of environment that wasn't an environment that I created for myself. As I'm self-employed, I work at home for the most part. But at the same time, it was always easy for me in those scenarios because I was away from a lot of distractions that relates to food. You know what I mean? At home, I might have to make my daughter a meal, and I'm not crying or whining about it, but I might have to make my daughter a meal, and that, I'm starting to like, the kitchen's there, right? So like I have everything at my disposal if I want to fuck off and be an idiot and eat something stupid. It's all there in front of me all day. Whereas at work, if I'm packing my meals, like at work, I'm constantly like, I'm focused on whatever I'm supposed to be doing. So if anything, when I'm at work, it's go, go, go. I grab a meal when I'm ready to eat it, sit down, eat it, move on to the next. And there's enough to be distracted by as far as work is concerned to make the nutritional side of things easy. But to Riley's point, you got to pack it, you got to bring it, you got to get the fucking job done. And if you're worried about what other people are thinking about it, then you're lost. Like,
my biggest thing to my clients and me is like, I personally hate when people comment on my food. I will never.
Really?
I do. One of my biggest pet peeves, like, don't sit here and talk about what I'm eating. Don't give a fuck what I'm eating. Like, I'm eating you're not eating it, I'm eating it.
It used to bug me, especially like holidays and shit like that. It would bug me a little bit. But
It's
like,
my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've cared about that.
It's not going to divert me from bringing my meals. It's not going to divert me from hitting my goals. It's just like annoying. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what you're eating.
Right.
I don't care what you're eating,
Right.
But my biggest thing is like, people are so worried about what other people are thinking about them dieting. Who cares?
Yeah.
They're not going to see the results when you're dieting.
Well, it's a big issue too. I mean, I would say outside of the weekends, I think the biggest issue that people have as far as like society in general, right? I think the biggest issue that people have in terms of our modern day weight management crisis, if you would, is going to be the weekends first and foremost, the way that we use food in general as far as celebrations, yada, yada. But again, a lot of that happens on the weekends, right? I think one of the bigger issues that people don't really report is the workspace habits, right? Or whatever you want to call it, right? When you're at work, what's more likely, that you're going to starve the entire day and not eat anything, or that you're going to go out to eat, grab fast food, go with your friends wherever? You're eating shit, like you said, from bell to bell in a lot of cases, where somebody's going to work, they don't feed themselves well first thing in the morning, they're stopping to get a fucking cream cheese bagel and a coffee on the way to work. Then a few hours later, maybe they're snacking on some bullshit that's at work. Then they're going out to eat with their friends during work, right? Like, it's a really, if you don't bring your own food and you're worried about what other people are thinking about because you're the other side of that is literally the fastest way to being fat, sick, and unhealthy. I guess sick and unhealthy are the same thing, but you guys get my point. So let's go between 6 and 8 on these. I'm not saying you can't deadlift to failure. I'm not saying you can't squat, bench, or do any of these things to failure, but I would say you start to get to a point within these movements where mechanically we're starting to shift where that tension is going, and it just might not be as advantageous anymore. Control that all the way down the shins. 3.
That's it, Tim.
Two more. All right. Hyperextensions. Almost like you're thrusting into these pads. You got to use this pad. Leverage the pad. 5. Come on. 5. 4. 3. Squeeze those glutes at the top. 2. 1.
Same thing?
Yes, sir.
Just tell me when. I'm not counting.
2. 3. Come on. 4. 5. 6. Come on. Come on. One more.
Deadlift is my weakest point. Don't judge me.
Use your glutes, dude. Don't just wait. You could use a lot more glutes and hamstrings than you used the first time around.
I'm trying.
What do you got? 4 more?
Yeah.
Come on. 4. Come on. 3. Come on. 2. One more. Done. All right. Just like that, we're done. But that's never been the issue for you anyway. It's that rear shot. You know what I mean? That's you on your hamstring right now? Yeah, you're too pumped up. Gotta hit those calves too, man. All right, so we got that session in. How you feeling?
Dead.
Okay. Honestly, I think at the end of the day, the one thing I want to clarify though is just to make sure that people know, like, the way that we're going to structure his training, right? Right now is going to be to spread out the volume per that particular muscle group right now. So some people might look at that and be like, well, he only did two sets of rows. You know, he only did 1 set of hamstrings. He only did 1 set, well, I guess a few sets of deadlifts and multiple, and kind of like a variation there with the superset and everything. But at the end of the day, again, it's about structuring the workout from a bird's eye view, right? Like the totality of his programming, right, over the course of that stretch, whatever it is. For some people, it might be, you know, just 4 sessions, 6 sessions, 8 sessions, whatever that stretch is that we programmed for somebody. The bottom line is, it's each day is taken into account when we're preparing the next day. You know what I mean? So for him, as if it might not seem like a lot, but if he's touching his back 3 times a week, you know, ultimately it equates to more than enough volume over the course of a week, right? So yeah, at the end of the day, we're being very specific for Riley, because at that point in his process where he might need to grow overall, but we also don't want to grow overall and continue to have the same weak areas, right? So we're trying to bring up that place in terms of his posterior in general, so that we don't end up growing disproportionately in terms of continuing to have giant quads, continuing to have giant arms, which he does have, right? Like, we want to make sure that we keep that symmetry, or even improve, I should say, on that symmetry. So that's why why the training looks the way that it does. But again, I think the one thing that'll be cool here, you know, through the YouTube channel for us is being able to see how we're programming for multiple different people, whether it's Riley and Marina that you guys have seen thus far, or hopefully next time getting in even just a lifestyle client. So you guys can see how the training is actually very similar from a lifestyle client to a competitor. If the goal is to build muscle tissue, right, then the training is going to be very similar. You know, we'll call it intensity, even though it's not the true term here, but the intensity factor is going to be something that might look different when it's Riley training versus a 37-year-old mother of two that's training, right? The 27-year-old meathead bodybuilder, you know, that level of intensity is just going to look a little bit different, but we're going to be hitting the same points when they're training in terms of how close we're taking that musculature to failure or how far past failure we're going in some cases, et cetera, et cetera. And I think the YouTube is going to give us an opportunity to be able to show that from a wide range of different demographics. So yeah, I think today's session though overall went pretty well. I think, you know, it's the first session, I think it's the first time I've ever trained you. Like, we've trained together plenty of times.
This is the first time you ever watched over me.
Yeah. So it's one of those ones where it's like, it's not a very hard training session to do from a trainer's standpoint. Like, obviously he's an advanced trainee, so it's very easy just to, you know, if I need to give him a cue here and there, I'll give him a cue here and there, but it's really just a matter of setting him up and making him push past that point, right? I think at his level, that's really what a trainer is going to do for him, is push him past that point and take him to another level. So again, I'll be excited to, honestly, I think for the rest of your off season, getting you in here, filming that, and then we can literally do, you know, this is whatever, a series, right? Like Riley's off season, and kind of maybe even get more in depth there as far as full days of eating, stuff like that. But again, as far as the training is concerned, it'll be cool so you guys can see how it progresses over that time frame. But yeah, anything else you want to add?
No, I'm excited for, as you said, this series. I'm excited to work more closely with you at least once or twice a week to really, you know, push past that point, because I will say, out of not just my physique, my weakest point is probably pushing myself past that point, as you know.
I think that's everybody, though. I think I should say it's everybody. I know there are some people that are fucking psychopaths that love to train and they'll push themselves to that level every single time. But I think it'd almost be a lie if somebody said that they couldn't benefit from having somebody else there and pushing past that point a little bit. So I think that's normal, and I think that's always something where, you know, that's why people have training partners. You know what I mean? Forget about a trainer. And again, Riley and I have been training partners on many of the cases. It's the same exact thing. It's just the fact of the matter is our schedules don't meet up that way anymore. So yeah, I think it'll be fun. It'll be good. Talk to you guys next time.